Welcome to the show. Creative Universe Checkpoint Earth presents Union News. Are twin flames gods or children of God? Twin Flames Inside the Womb is back, and we're going to talk about, this whole stuff. Because I was like, twin flames are the spiritual being of what you truly are. And what is that? There is like a debate, maybe I want to say, or is it a debate? Maybe it's like a different point of view floating around there in the world. Like, is the human, is the union, is the twin flame in the union that we talked about a couple episodes, right? How the twin flame is actually the union, and the union is actually the person. Well, even in that case, or in the individual flesh and blood person, of which there are usually two in the union. Are they children of God? Or are they God themselves? That's how powerful you are, right? You create everything. Or you are a child of the Creator. And what perspective is best? What is the truth? Yeah, we're just going to talk about that and find out what works. What's the truth, right? Because I think that says a lot about what twin flames are, what God is, what this God actually entails, that we are connected to as twin flames, that we are created by as twin flames, which I talk about a lot because that's really what it goes. It's like twin flames in their union are the thing, are the person or the part of you as a person. It's the part of you as a person that is as close as God as it can get. And how does that work? And there's a huge difference, between if you are God or if you are a child of God. Because if you are God, well, then you are immensely powerful. And it starts to sound, pretty narcissistic soon as well. Like, what? Really? Or are you a child of God? And then it sounds much more humble. But maybe you're also saying that you can't manifest and that you can't create. But I want to manifest and I want to create. So, I don't know. I think we're going to find more solutions for this problem because we're also going to look in the Bible, because this will again be an episode in which we're going to look for twin flames in the Bible. We've also done that recently before, and I think that was an awesome approach. And we're going to resolve this issue with the Bible in hand. We're going to see if that works. I prepared a couple Bible fragments that are very unconventional. You'll see. First, we're going to do some other things that will get us more in the mood. The real twin flame work happens on the inside, and then it will guaranteed manifest outside. In this series of lives, I share about what that means for my union consciousness process to inspire you to find yours. It serves as the source for your daily twin flame news, or almost daily. And today on the show, we have twin flames, gods or children of God. Let me for a moment explain why we have the possibility to become a paid Patreon members on this and all live shows. You can listen to it and enjoy, and that's fine. But if you want the content of these shows to spiritually work healing on your union, you invest in the messages. That's how you support your union healing. Money unlocks it. And let's step over to the union consciousness of the day. And that is, well, let's see if we get further in the mood for this whole topic by this short and sweet twin flame wisdom of the day. So let's see what it is. Let me just read it. You are the twin flame union. The union acts as the person, and you are it. So again, you are the twin flame union. The union acts as the person, and you are it. Yeah, that was it. I mean, it does sound so much like a Zen riddle. And Zen riddles are always like, they're sort of impossible. That's the whole point of Zen riddles. Your Zen master would give you a riddle and you would sit on your cushion to meditate on that riddle. And it would be impossible to find the solution of the riddle in your brain, in your thinking, in your logic reasoning. That's how that riddle was designed. So you would like think your brain and to the end, and then you will experience a break from reality, or a break from thinking, a break from reasoning logic, and you would fall into the bigger consciousness that you were part of all along, and you would have your enlightenment or realization. So that's why the Zen master would like give you a riddle that you can't solve. Well, that's a little bit how this sounds. Like, you are the twin flame union. What does that even mean? Well, you could like sit down like a true Zen student, right? And just meditate on that. What does that mean? You are the twin flame union. I thought I was a twin flame, and there's my other twin flame in the world. And they left me, you know they stopped talking to me. I don't like that. I want to be in a relationship with them. They blocked me on Facebook. They, I don't know, they married someone else. They did it. They dated someone else. I don't like that. I don't agree with that. I never wanted that. I hate it. I want to get out of this situation. It's their fault that we're here. And I don't like it. And how can we get rid of this? And etc. etc. So that's how people a lot of the time think about their twin flame. But they will, of course, also say, yes, they unlocked an enormous overflow of love in my heart. And it was an overwhelming experience. And I didn't know that I could know myself and that I could know love in this way. I didn't know that. And it completely struck me by surprise, and then I just had to sort of recollect myself to even be able to function in daily life, because it was such an overwhelming and different experience than anything that I've ever experienced before. So it was also very beautiful. That's what people often will say as well. And both perspectives are somewhat understandable. They are understandable. Completely, I understand that, because I had also these experiences earlier in my journey when I was still in the journey. I ended my journey, right? When you arrive, you end the journey. So that's awesome. And then you just become more and more at home where you arrived. And that's a whole healing in itself. That's also beautiful. I bring my students through the journey to arrival, and I also bring them through that time in which they start to feel at home, which is actually a very vulnerable time. And lots of accidents can happen there, I have seen. And we try to prevent you from getting in these accidents and really make sure you do that specific healing there as well, and stay close to that sort of source point in yourself that you now reached, and yeah, that it all works out well for you so that you can start to build with your twin flame very safely, right? That's what we do here. So you are the twin flame union. You thought that you were the twin flame, and that's them, and they gave you this burst of divine love, and or they ran away and you didn't like that and you felt incredible pain because of it. So that's how you think about it, right? They gave me this love, they gave me this hatred because they ran off, and I don't like that. But now we're saying you are the twin flame union. Like in spiritual truth, well, in essence, they're you, or they're a part of you. You are part of the bigger whole that you are together. And you could say that that bigger whole that is the union is the actual person that moves around in the earth. Okay, we understand that there are two, it's like, physical things that came from it, and you live in different houses at this point. And you would like to live together in one house. Okay, we get that. But they're one person on that, let's say, higher or something spiritual level. And these people, they roam around the earth, but they're actually one thing, one unit in spiritual truth. So they're one union. You are the union. That's you. That's you. You consist of two parts you didn't know. But it's not that you are incomplete, sad, half of a human in your physical self roaming around the earth. No, you're perfect, like how you are. There's nothing wrong with you. You just want to bring that together so that you can experience it all as harmonious together within the intimate love interpretation that you hope from it. And that's also possible. So your hope is not mistaken. Yeah, you are the twin flame union. The union acts as the person, and you are it. Hmm. Hmm. So this gives you a very different look upon what is happening. It brings your thinking process in your brain, your visualization of what this love relationship is on a new level. You're like, oh, that's different. I need to meditate on that. And then you are sitting there in your Zen master mode or something, and that works on you so that you start to interpret everything in your life and the whole world in a different way. And you start to realize that everything your life is built out of has a certain change in it when you go to what twin flames truly are, and you make yourself at home there so that you can really build a life there. And the there is in that consciousness state. Everything will be transformed into that. Your food life, your sex life, your work life, your mission life, your leisure life, your vacation life, your body, your, I don't know, your health, your money, everything in life will transform to what that is supposed to be in your harmonious union version of it, in that change of consciousness version of it, in that, oh, I am the twin flame union version of it, which is a different outlook on life, on all the aspects of life, your friendships, your family, your future, your past. It's a different outlook, and everything will transform in that direction. So you're just going to be with your twin flame, and it will be awesome. And you'll, when you arrive, feel that it's just really like home and there's nothing going on. It's beautiful and you just love it. But because you're now at a very different place in your consciousness, and that end station does feel natural, beautiful, and at home, but there is nevertheless a big shift, a big transformation of consciousness between both. Yeah, there is like an unrecognizable shift between both. And that's why it sounds so odd. You are the twin flame union. Well, that sounds not where I live yet. It sounds like a brain breaker, but it doesn't sound like where I live yet. And I promise you that when you live there, it does sound only logic, only normal, like, yes, that's where I live. And not like, oh, I understand that with my thinking, but no, I live there. You'll know. And that is also why I provide the option for my students in my school with the Twin Flame Abundance Now year group course to work on all these life aspects within the whole change that they're making with their twin flame. I also provide you with the possibility to work on your communication, on your creativity, on your money, on your healing, etc., with workbooks and theory and whatnot, because I know that these life elements will change and how you stand in that. Sometimes you can do the workbook and then in 2 years you need to do it over because even how you did the workbook that actually was designed for that place where you have shifted already, how you approach that really changed, and you can do it over in 2 years time because something profoundly changed and you came into your harmonious union state with your true twin flame, and now you can start the relationship with them how you always envisioned that. So you're just very happy, and that's very good, and that's what you wanted, and that's what you came to me for, and I'm happy for you, and we did it. That's where I will bring you. Yeah, who knows? In about 2 years, a lot can happen, especially when you actually do the work, such as what we do in Twin Flame Abundance Now, the year group course that I will open again this fall in fall 2025. So, yeah, check it out. Stay tuned. You really want to be there. Oh, yeah, you really want to be there because that'll be the last time. And I'll also take you to beautiful opportunities in becoming a coach yourself as well and making your own money. So maybe good to know. So let's move on to the ACIM lesson of the day. Maybe we got, more ingredients for this whole topic that we're later going to address about our twin flames, God, or or is there a union God, or are they children of God? And what's a good attitude? And what does traditional spirituality say about that as well? Because we are going to look in the Bible later on also. But first, we're going to look in ACIM, A Course in Miracles, that actually gives, in a way, like a new kind of interpretation of the whole Bible or of any sacred book. Because it says a lot, the word Jesus and whatnot, but you could just as much put the word Buddha there. That doesn't matter. But they use these kind of words to be able to say things that otherwise would not be able to be expressed. So that's why they're there. So ACIM gives a whole new interpretation of like what the Bible actually says. But then when you understand that, when you got it, so to speak, you could do a whole study of the book of Course in Miracles in itself of 2 years as well. I would actually be for that you do that also, because it's just a helpful extra tool to understand more what the transformation to union consciousness might be about. So there you go. But when you got it, so to speak, then you could go back to the Bible and then you're like, oh, it was in the Bible all along. I just read it wrong. That's also the shift. The same shift that we're talking about for twin flames is also true for, well, such a sacred text that is very traditional. So let's see. Lesson 267. Here it comes. My heart is beating in the peace of God. Surrounding me is all the life that God created in His love. It calls to me in every heartbeat and in every breath, in every action, in every thought. Peace fills my heart and floods my body with the purpose of forgiveness. Now my mind is healed, and all I need to save the world is given me. Each heartbeat brings me peace. Each breath infuses me with strength. I am a messenger of God, directed by His voice, sustained by him in love, and held forever quiet and at peace within his loving arms. Each heartbeat calls his name, and every one is answered by his voice, assuring me I am at home in him. Let me attend your answer, not my own. Father, my heart is beating in the peace the heart of love created. It is there and only there that I can be at home. Yeah. I think it's so beautiful how ACIM brings everything back to such an easy, simple, here it is moment again, in which you just feel, yes, it is there and only there that I can be at home. Father, my heart is beating in the peace the heart of love created. It is there and only there that I can be at home. And you just feel it like, yeah, like the reality behind those words, what they describe, like, yeah, I feel it. And the magic of these words in ACIM is that these words, they're so direct, they just bring you in that union consciousness that is the end of that transformation. Amazing. As always, I will publish the show notes with the complete lesson and with the links and whatnot, and all the rest of what we talk about today in Patreon. You can become a member of the Patreon. And of course, you then would um, support the messages, the lives, and that is beautiful. But you do something for your own union, because me talking about these union consciousness themes is beautiful, but you need to make them active for your union, and then they work healing in your union consciousness process for your true twin flame. And I want that for you. And to activate that healing power for you, that's why you become a member. And I thank you very much for doing so. I also give loads of beautiful extras in the Patreon, such as secret videos. And every month, there will be one service or product of me highlighted that will be significantly cheaper for when you are a second tier member. All that information is on the Patreon site, patreon.com/PEJ at Creative Universe. Yeah, there you go. I think we're going to have a look in another book as well. And that's going to be my book that is called Manifesting Your Abundant Life of Love, Twin Flames. So you can buy that on Amazon. Did you know that? And they'll just print it for uniquely you and send it to your door. I think we live in an awesome time where that just works. So I opened my own twin flame book as if it were an oracle, and here came out this section. And I thought it was very interesting because it was very much about the school program, that Twin Flame Abundance Now, that year group course that opens again this fall. That's what that is. That's like my full school has opened, and it's about the school. So it's called, this piece, School. And by the way, I thought it was so funny, I also have a student that is like, yeah, I don't want to study, and that sounds too triggering for me. Because then it sounds like you have to do something or something, like, oh, I'm going back to my school days, and that triggers me because that was so traumatizing. And I'm really sorry if you feel like that. It is also funny, to have a school for unschooling, because that's pretty much what that is. We need to unschool ourselves of our kinks in our mentality and consciousness state to go to the twin flame consciousness state, right? And it's more like unschooling. But there needs to be something that teaches you that, or that gives you the opportunity to learn that, or however you want to explain that, right? And yeah, in the end, I did call it a school because why not? So it's really not very schoolish, and you need to study. Well, you will be studying, but you can call it whatever you want. I'm just gonna immerse myself into the tools because I know I will have my twin flame union soon. Well, that's it. And you can call it a school or you can call it not a school, but those terminologies don't define if you make it, right? But I indeed eventually called it a school. The school is a wall-less classroom that grounds through your participation in programs. The school is a manifestation of the ancient mystery school, of the inner order, and only becomes active as long as there is a request for it. It teaches soul empowerment that also takes care of your personal development. The potential of the school is to bring you prior to the I am. Then there comes a true freedom to let creation take place through you. Vast arrays of unconscious content become available for deeply healing conscious creativity. Holistic love becomes the space of action. The school is a path one walks, non denominational, tries to bridge the unbridgeable of the fullness of Source and the human creation of extending value through the person. It is a spiritual school in the sense that it gives to the ground of being that humans experience in life. All religions point to the same, and so does no religion. The word religion means to relegere, that's Latin, to remember what one essentially is. The school is not a prescriptive theology or a complete traditional new or revolutionary dogma, nor a belief system. Rather, it aims at progressing students in their own inner self realization, which is in the first place an individual experiential journey. Principles. The principles of the Mystery School are downloaded afresh and cut loose from source since 2012, definitively after a preparation since around the year 2000. This shows direct knowledge. The principles are then also geared towards bringing you to experience direct knowledge yourself as well. The original teaching that this does represent is spiritually delivered to the Christ of our time and are here to elicit the Christ's consciousness in all. This was a universal assignment that was destined to happen. The principles inspire many projects that will evolve and that have been prepared extensively over 2 decades. Yeah, that's true. We're just rolling out what was already prepared. Baseline of the methodology. See the book Nine Entrances to Conscious Creativity. Sure, that's also in the paper book that you can get on Amazon, Twin Flames Manifesting Your Abundant Life of Love. You can see that that book is actually inside that book. It's like a book consisting of 3 books. Curriculum of the school. See the chapter with the title Initiation and Curriculum. Okay. All right, last part. Patron of the school. And there's a quote from the patron of the school. Illusion and truth are always presented in the now, present in the now. Trying to be without illusions creates illusions. What you do is accept yourself underneath all layers of problems and be that. All right, we'll read that again. Illusion and truth are always present in the now. Trying to be without illusions creates illusions. Ah. What you do is accept yourself underneath all layers of problems and be that. Master JD on September 26, 2019. That was taken from Twin Flames Manifesting Your Abundant Life of Love on page 323 to 4. Right, right. So I think that just says a lot about where the school comes from, what it presents. It's a whole mouthful, right? But yeah, it is the mystery school, but it came forward in the time of the Twin Flames to work together with the Christ Masters on Earth right now to create that and to spread that as the leading edge teaching. This is a real thing. It's not guesswork. It's very precise and only that. And there are two places in the whole universe where you can get it, nowhere else. Let's go to guidance with my oracle cards, because why not? I created union and mission cards. And later on, we will actually also make even a better looking deck than this one that you will also be able to buy. But we're not exactly there yet, but we will be there, soon. So that is going to be awesome because this card deck covers every creation moment that you can be in when you're on the twin flame journey and on the mission journey, because mission is like an underestimated secret pillar of strength and help for your twin flame journey. It means what your purpose is translated into a practical thing that you're going to do. That is your mission. And you feel inspired to do that with your true twin flame, and you will attract your abundance through doing that. But importantly, when you start to also transform yourself into the one that you are as your mission person that you are in union, let's put it like that. I don't know. I think it comes across. Then you become attractive for your twin flame. It's a huge deal. They will understand it's you. So, and that's also part of the deck, but it's also for union moments. And every moment you can get a new card and you read what's going on and get ideas about how to progress. And you can do your entire journey with this deck. So that'll be worth the investment. We have a card, and I will have a look on my screen into the booklet, right? And it is card A2.1 with an eye in close up. And in the eye, we have like the iris, but the iris is in the form of an egg that is bursting open. So it has really something to do with like seeing, viewing, and I think breaking open new sort of inner seeing. What do you think? And outer seeing too at the same time. Yeah. Let's read what it says. Get the best out of what was. This is the card of artist, wise one. How? Let's read the booklet. A2.1. Yes, there we are. And the card description is called Worlds Will Perish to Help You. God, they say, sometimes moves in mysterious ways. And that is true. But it is explainable when you get the truthful insight in what this means. The grand source of all things wants, especially since you ask this consciously, to give you what you desire in the shortest journey possible. To make that possible for you, and taking on board that you have unconscious resistance and blockages standing between you and your goal that you therefore hardly know about and definitely not have solved yet, you are being put on a road that works against you and looks like one giant illusion. But having this experience and by going through it, becoming conscious of your experiences, you can digest things that are here to be digested by you and find a way out of the nastiness. Suddenly, you are very close to your goal, but now you are emotionally prepared and you have gained the depth that is necessary to retain the state of being that it requires. On this spot, your past seems to have been a waste of time, and the echoes of illusion are still palpable. This could, with a negative mindset, become a gruesome memory. Get a positive viewpoint. You have used your time the best way possible to get the insights that you need. When you listen with your inner ear to the situation, then you will hear that you have gotten the shortcut to your ultimate goal. And it is because the memory is so horrific that you move away from it, that it is fully aligned with who you are in God's eyes. Be thankful. Thank the people involved, for yourself. Mourn if needed, and look when you are ready ahead only. You are as a chick that crawled out of the egg, and the whole wide world is awaiting you. Take what you learned and the elements that you built before that are still valid and move on to your new status quo without shame and guilt. You crawled out of the egg of a difficult situation and are at a fertile point with a view over a new and true landscape. You seem to still have your suitcase with tools that helped you through your journey to this point, while your eggshells compost. Now you can assist your twin flame with it. Oh my gosh. Because twin flames are at the same vibrational level always. But that doesn't mean that some of the difficulties that you need to overcome on the journey, you and them, both in your own kind of way, are already completely done by them when you just had a huge episode of working things out. That might be a little bit one by one. And it's okay to help the other because, it is a love relationship after all, and you are relating. So this does not mean that they just need to come to you as a prince on the white horse and only spoil you all day long, but you're not going to help them with what you learned when you already went through certain professional challenges that you resolved so beautifully or something. And they, until now, have worked on their personal life, for instance, mainly to make that better. And that you can't help them with what you learned from your part of what you already did. You actually can, and it is a love relationship, so you should, that's kind of normal. So yeah, but but at the same time, you are at the same vibration inside of things because that is because it's your twin flame. So now I said that twice. Now it must be clear. Okay, I hope so. We just keep on repeating these kind of basic things, right? And then it becomes clearer and clearer what is actually said. That's kind of normal that that you need to hear it many, many times. I had that too. So, and at a certain point, it just clicks. And may that be right now for you. Let's have a look at twin flames in the Bible again. Does the Bible actually say that the union that is the twin flame is a child of God? Or does it also say that the union that is the person is God itself? Hmm. What a question, because let's go to Psalm 82:6. The point is that Christians will say that you are a child of God, and they might even say that it is not true at all that you can say that you are God, that you are a heretic when you say that the Bible will never say such a thing. 82:6. No. But because you need to be a child of God, you need to be like in a little bit of a submissive way, I guess. And then that's how it can sound like for some people, or that's maybe a certain traditional view, a certain a Christian interpretation of it. And you can't say that you are God or that you are creating. I mean, come on, that goes too far. Or is it? Is it true that the Bible even says that you are a child of God? Or are there also places where it says that you are God? Well, here we are, Psalm 82:6. I have said, ye are gods, and all of you are children of the Most High. Well, isn't that interesting? So the Psalms are all like songs about how you can feel in relationship to God. I have said, ye are gods. Well, you are God, and all of you are children of the Most High. So it looks like you're both. In this verse, it says you're both. You are God, and you are a child of God. Well, maybe that is the whole solution of this whole problem that I sort of posed a little bit out of nowhere, maybe. But I was also seeing something that God showed me on YouTube that was in this direction. I was like, that's interesting. From Bill Donahue, and I was like, oh, I think that God asks me to talk about this topic. And earlier we talked about like, is the twin flame in the Bible, and maybe the union is in the Bible, like Adam is the union, Adam and Eve in Genesis. Like Jesus Christ is maybe the union, and then inside of that is like Jesus and Mary Magdalene. And like Adam is the union, and inside of that you have Adam and Eve, because the Bible like indicates things over the male line, and actually because of, well, cultural time related reasons, but also out of respect. um and you could also hear in that, another interpretation that could say like, but it's disrespectful to not name the union after the female line. But it depends on how you see that. I think it was meant to respect the woman, to sort of protect her. Of course, there can be said a lot that the male line, so called, in societies over the course of history did not correctly in practice protect women, and that's, I'm not saying that that's not an issue or something, but that doesn't mean that it is not created like that anyway. So that's what we talked about, and I was like, okay, so but then when like the person is the union, and that one person that is the union, that may be created by God. And it's true, because it is like the first thing under God that it created, or maybe not like the first thing. They come into the unions come in groups that are soul family groups, all unions, and then you have your union. but it's relatively close to, where God created you in the light of God. So it's like a direct line. It's very close by, right? Where you are created. And much closer by than where you are in your physical body that is still trying to be together with the other physical body and with which you work together in one union. That is the spiritual union that we're talking about, as that is the person. Because the reality maybe is also a spiritual reality. And the word spiritual in this just means like the basic, fundamental, underground underlayer of life, of things, the principle of things, right? That's the spiritual layer of things. So the principle is that you are one unit, and that unit is the union, the twin flame union, and that's the person. But as that person, as that unit, are you a God? Are you the one that creates, or are you a child of God? So we talked about, like, so you're like the first under God, sort of, and that spiritual unit. But then, like, so you are like a child of God, right? You're sort of hanging under God as that unit of union. So, but do you have anything to say or to bring? Well, your mission, right? Or is that God's mission? Are you actually directly, because the light of God is the same where God is and where the union is, the same light. So maybe you're just God itself. And then so when you create from your union, and you start to create that relationship and that mission business, because that is the mission, that's what you can create and build there. You do that as God. So you're God, right? Or is that like against the Bible, and you should go to like, no, I'm much more like an humble servant of God, and God is God, and I am just the union and part of the union. So I'm not only the union, not God, but the union, and as the union I am a child of God, and then I'm also just a complementary part of the union. So that makes you even more humble. And when you're so humble, you just become more and more humble. And then, can you even create anything? Do you have the power to create your family and love relationship with your true twin flame? Or have you just lost that in this wrong interpretation? And you actually should make the interpretation to be, no, I'm made out of, I'm part of the union, so I am the union, and the union is made out of light, and comes from God, and God is also made out of light. So light is light. So I am God, and I am going to create as God. It's like different interpretations. And I think that people, they hang incredible amounts of value on such topics, in spiritual, I don't know, how do you say it? Polemics? Maybe that's the word. Polemics, spiritual polemics, and religious polemics. And people would have enormous hang-ups about all these kinds of topics. And this is what churches divide over, these kinds of interpretations. Like, you can't say that you're God. Are you crazy? You have to form a whole other denomination, your own church or something, to be able to have that as an interpretation, because it's just wrong. And that's what we say because we're right. And this is really such an issue. Like, they split whole churches because of these kinds of things. So it's pretty much a big issue. And I do think that it is more traditional to say that you're a child of God. But again, okay, we just quickly step to Psalm 82, and it does say, I have said, ye are gods. Well, let's read the whole psalm. God standeth in the congregation of the mighty. He judgeth among the gods. So there's another thing actually that also comes in here. Well, let's not make it too complicated, but now we're here. Well, there we go. There's another thing that splits churches. They say, like, well, but there's only one God, and Christianity in the Bible, they only speak of one God because that's the whole essence of the religion and whatnot. But Psalm 82, He judges amongst the gods. So there are multiple gods. And that is also in multiple places of the Bible. Don't you find that interesting? All kinds of places in the Bible you read there are multiple gods. But we are supposed to listen to like maybe like the boss of the multiple gods or like the overarching one of the multiple gods, and that's the one god, or like the god where all other gods also bow to or also come out of or something, you know. So there, of course, there is only one god, but in a story, in a narrative kind of way, like in the Bible. Oh, but it's so monotheistic, you know. It's very forbidden to think that there are polytheistic ideas, you know, very forbidden. You know, in that kind of narrative, that's not true because it says all the time in the Bible that there are multiple gods. When we look holistically, like, but are there multiple gods? There's God, there's your twin flame union, and there's like physical things that come out of that that live life in this world. Okay, but there is one source of all of this. There is one thing that created you. There is one thing in instance, one organization, some sort of, you know, one boss that that created your twin flame union. But there are still multiple gods. Apparently, okay, very interesting, right? Okay, let's try again. God standeth in the congregation of the mighty. He judges among the gods. How long will you judge unjustly and accept the persons of the wicked? Selah, it's like a name. Defend the poor and fatherless. Do justice to the afflicted and needy. Deliver the poor and needy. Rid them out of the hand of the wicked. They know not, neither will they understand. They walk on in darkness. All of the foundations of the earth are out of course. I have said, Ye are gods, and all of you are children of the Most High, but you shall die like men and fall like one of the princes. Arise, O God, judge the earth, for thou shalt inherit all nations. Ye are gods, and all of you are children of the Most High, but ye shall die like men, and fall like one of the princes. Arise, O God, judge the earth, for thou shalt inherit all nations. That was Psalm 82, a psalm of Asaph, which is an Old Testament figure, probably a king, the son of the king Asaph, something like that, you know. Um, Ye are gods. And children of God and children of the Most High. So maybe that means that, and we're also looking for justice and whatnot, and judgment and whatnot. So maybe we're both. Maybe the one person that God created is both. You are, well, there are more twin flame unions in the earth, right? There are millions, billions of twin flame unions. The unit of the union was the person, right? There are billions created of that. And they are close to God. They're just like God. They're created in the image and likeness of God. So maybe they are gods. Twin flame unions are gods. And it is like the higher thing than only you, humble person of flesh and blood. It's you plus them in the harmonious connection in the true spiritual light. That's your twin flame union. So it is in a form like you are in sort of your higher self, or however you want to call it. So that is like a god. So maybe we are gods, like the twin flame unions are gods. Twin flame unions have more creative power, creational power than only my humble individual self with my own body. That's not a lot, but if you come together with your twin flame, you can co-create with your twin flame with whom you are created by God in sacred union, and you not only get two times, the power, the creative power, the power to build your family, to build your mission, to make something of your life that has legacy, that is influential over others, over the world, over the universe. Maybe it's just exponential. It's not only 1 plus 1, but it's like an exponential growth, because it's like 1 plus 1 in the horizontal and plus God in the vertical. And it's like intense, never ending creation power that you have because you are directly connected to God and you are a God there. So it's a huge power. But then it also gets some sort of scary because it does start to sound like, whoa, but twin flames are so creative. Their creation power is enormous. It's like exponential compared to only my humble me on my own that can make little money left and right, and that's all I can do in my life, and then I will die. But that starts to sound kind of scary, because maybe it also means that you're going to have a lot of like power, and should a couple or something have so much power in the world, and power in God's world, and wow, maybe it starts to be really scary here. But then at the same time, you are children of God. You are God's, and all of you are children of the Most High. So then it gets less scary again. And when you say, like, yeah, but I'm also at the same time a child of God, then you start to say something like, but in my twin flame union together with my twin flame, we're just supported by God. We're just children of God. So we're just supported because we have parents. So then it starts to become more safe. I like that. Let's have a look at another Bible verse to see if we are gods or children of God. And I know that we also had a little bit of like a crossroad here. That's a crossroad. No, that's not how you say it. Well, another issue coming up, like, as well, like, is there one God or multiple gods? But I think we're just going to let that go now. We'll see. John 10:34. John 10:34. Oh, that was wrong. Oh, it was here. Jesus answered them, "Is it not written in your law, I said, ye are gods?" So Jesus is talking to the Jews. And Jesus answered them, "Is it not written in your law, I said, you are gods?" So Jesus tells the Jews, listen, it is in your law that you are gods. Jesus says that. Like Jesus, the figure that Christians always turn to, like, but Jesus said that not. Jesus says that you're a child of God. Jesus says that you need to be humble. But that's not true. Jesus says you are God's, and he's directing himself to the Jews. He's like teaching the Jews, listen, do you not listen to your own laws? Do you not read your own laws? In your laws, it says you are God's. It's again gods, multiple. If he called them gods, unto whom the word of God came, and the scripture cannot be broken, say of him whom the Father has sanctified and sent into the world, thou blasphemest, because I said, I am the Son of God. Right. So I think this is exactly about this problem. So, like, Jesus in his time was already debating with the Jews about this very problem. Are you a God or are you a son of God? But God says, well, I'm God. Well, well, Jesus is God. That's what they say in the Bible, that Jesus is God, but you are not. Well, that's also a misunderstanding. ACIM explains that beautifully, A Course in Miracles, that the Son of God is you. You are the Son of God, right? If there's a Son of God at all, it's you as well. You're part of that too. Jesus is just an example of the Son of God that really took that on. And he was the first one that really went that far with his consciousness change. And that was special. But you can do that as well. You're also the part of you're also part of the Son of God. That's the whole point. You're sacred, right? And reading the Bible and doing that kind of spiritual work and stuff makes that come true inside of you. That's the whole point. So, but Jesus doesn't even say, like, Jesus, the Son of God, who is who's talking to, okay, so he's talking to the Jews and he says, listen, Jews, I'm not even going to answer that because you already have the answer in your own laws. You are God's. So stop saying that I should talk about that because it is already in your own law. I didn't come, Jesus said, to say that the law is not true. I came here to explain the law in a new, refreshed way, to bring it alive again. And he just says, well, if you want to know the answer to that, it's already in your own law. So stop asking me silly questions, because they were all the time trying to, well, have him answer questions and also trying to trick him into questions so that he would stumble. Anyway, because this is also in 31, it says, then the Jews took up stones again to stone him. So, all the time the Jews wanted to get rid of him. So, and they tried to ask him questions to trick him so that he said something amoral so that they could stone him, or immoral or amoral. But then he just says, come on, I'm just saying what is in your own law. So then they can't stone him. So let's look at another part of the Bible, Isaiah 45:7. 652. Isaiah 45:7. Here we are. I form the light and create darkness. I make peace and create evil. I, the Lord, do all these things. So, from a little bit before that, it says, I am the Lord, and there is none else. There is no God beside me. I girded thee, though thou hast not known me. And they may know from the rising of the sun and from the west that there is none beside me, and I am the Lord, and there is none else. I form the light and create darkness. I make peace and create evil. I, the Lord, do all these things. So, yeah, I'm not sure actually what to say about this one, 45:7. Well, we need to ask Bill Donahue. Donahue. Luke 11:52. I'm not here to be definitive. We're actually sort of researching these kinds of things together these days. And we can also change the format up, of course. Okay, let's see. Luke 11:52. Woe unto you, lawyers, for ye have taken away the key of knowledge. Ye entered not in yourselves, and them that were entering in ye hindered. 11:52. 11:52. Well, I'm also not sure what we're going to. Well, here's the key of knowledge. I think that's what it is about. It's like the key of knowledge. Right. The key of knowledge. You entered not in yourselves, and them that were entering in you hindered. So here's the point. The key to knowledge is in yourself. The key to knowledge is in the fact that you are made of the same source material as God. The key is that you are made of the light. Your twin flame union is made out of the light, just like God is made out of the light. That's the same substance. That key is inside of you. There's nothing else than that. What we're searching for is in you. The key is in you. That's what it is like. And then I wanted to go to John 1:1. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. So there's a whole thing that we should talk about, but we're not going to do that now. That it is about, but what is this thing? What's the word? So the word is like the key. The word is the key. The word is Jesus. The word is the Christ. The word is the most valuable thing. It's like the Holy Grail, right? It's like the true thing from God that is from God, and it is also then searched by humans. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. So that's like the true valuable thing, the true value of creation, right? That you can feel in your heart when you are in your harmonious twin flame union, that God has given because He created one pure, beautiful, valuable thing. The Word, the thing, the light, the value. Here's the valuable thing. It is in harmonious twin flame union. It is your union, and it is made out of the same substance as God. In the beginning was the Word, the valuable thing, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. So in the beginning was twin flame union. The union was with God because God created this union. And the Word was God because it was made out of the same substance. So that's just what I wanted to show, what I wanted to discuss. I hope it makes sense. Yeah, I think this was pretty chaotic in a sense, but also like I think that through this whole chaos, we some sort of brought something across. Maybe we should, research this further, and because there's so much to point out about the history of religion and the Bible itself and the reception of the Bible and how to interpret it in this way and in that way. But at the end of the day, God just gives me ideas to point something out to you. that is about the understanding of the sacredness of twin flame union and how that yes or no fits with how we can read sacred texts, such as the Bible, very traditional sacred text. I think that both certainly make sense. You are a child of God, so that God, what we discussed, backs you up. But you are also God's because it's super valuable and there is exponential creation power in you. And that creation power is creating through the union what God gives you to create. So that's like both at the same time. You're both a child of God and God's. And I think that's just simply the power of being in your twin flame union. And if that's not attractive to research that in practice for yourself, then I don't know what is attractive. Be supported by God because you are the child of God, and create like God because you are God, and have that immense creation power. Yeah. If that's not attractive, then I don't know what. This is exactly what twin flames do and are. I'm getting more and more into the feeling of, oh, okay, we can read the Bible with these kinds of notions. And the Bible does make sense with these kinds of questions. And I am just flabbergasting myself about what comes through for me to share about this whole idea to even talk about twin flames in the Bible. And I think that's also very valuable to begin with. I choose now to explore the most complete depth of my being. I surrender my mind completely to God that He may bring it into perfect harmony with His. I invite God now into my core that He may make it right, returning it perfectly to its state of eternal wholeness. I trust in the power of divine love. I choose to see the truth that it is universally accepted by all. At the core of every child of God, including me, we're all one with our twin flames and God. It is safe for me to open completely to love now. My love is not elusive unless you command it so. But don't worry, you could not choose against love itself, because you are love itself, manifested as you eternally. If you command it to leave, love does not leave because it cannot possibly leave. But you leave love by the power of your command. And by that same power, you can command yourself to return to love. And it is so, revealing to you that love never left. It is safe to let go. It is safe to relax into love's eternal presence. Love is calling you home, and I'll be there waiting. I have always been here with you, and I always will be. Your next step. Don't forget to actually start the process and jump on the team. Actively come to our community, start doing the correct inner work, and ask the support you deserve through our services so that we can start a relationship that will lead you to harmonious union and beyond. When you're not in a relationship, you're not on the team and you can't expect the results I'm speaking of and, in fact, guaranteeing. Currently, we are going towards the opening of the door once more to Twin Flame Year Group Course, Twin Flame Abundance Now, a new version specifically for those that want to become union coach and make your own money. I am looking for max 6 people to step into this abundant opportunity. The door opens on November the 1st, and here you can already see some fun stuff, and that is creativeuniverse.earth/abundance now launch. The show notes. You can, however, support this ongoing live Twin Flame news as such. Make it possible as co-creator. Without your participation and financial gifts, I cannot do anything because we need to have an energetic and verbal visual exchange for things to make sense. And I know and to know what I need to talk about for you. And also, we're on the earth, and that necessarily always works with money as a means to make sacred content actually physically flow. Therefore, I post the show notes in Patreon. Come over and enjoy. Have influence on the broadcasts. Don't miss out on the behind the scenes experience. And that is here, patreon.com/PEJ at Creative Universe, or the link below in the box. September 2025's Patreon subscriber action is the following. School has started. Hooray! Admittedly, students inside the year group course Twin Flame Abundance now have a special deal for an individual VIP session. This 2-hour session that also includes being sent workbooks and aftercare is normally available for €398 ex-VAT, and for group members €197 ex-VAT. But within the second tier Patreon in September 2025, everyone can go for the half price option. Info about how these kinds of sessions normally go will be found here, creativeuniverse.earth/yourabundance, or go to the description box below and click the link there. I am Petra, in the consciousness state of harmonious twin flame union since March 2020, worked with the Christ Masters on Earth right now to roll this consciousness state out so everyone can enjoy the abundant life with their true twin flame soon enough, after going in with me right here. Don't search any further. You reached what you were looking for. Om. Amen.